Nation. This is Mike Kolesar. I am your host for USABL's Clubhouse Report. Our special guest for today is founder and CEO of Zoned Sports, Duke Baxter. Duke, thanks for jumping on with us today. If you can, just take a moment and tell us a little bit about Zoned Sports.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me. Appreciate that. Yeah, Zone's a 28,000 square foot indoor baseball and softball training facility. We opened up our doors in 2002, so we're heading into our 19th year, and we train players of all ages and skill levels. And there's 17. We have 17 coaches and 14 travel teams, and pretty much train people from all over the state of New Jersey.
Yeah, you guys do a phenomenal job. You guys are all over social media. We see what you guys do, and you guys care about all of your players. All of your staff do a fantastic job. You mentioned how many players you have and the facility size that you have and all the coaches that you have. Like, I don't think most people realize the overhead that goes into, running a true sports academy, from uniforms to baseballs, rent, insurance, and your coaches. How do you balance it all during a time that we're going through right now?
This is a really, it's something that you really nobody planned for this, right? No one can plan for something to this capacity. And, right now is really difficult because we have 170 kids that are on our teams, families. And then we're in the middle of training all the high school teams that we're getting ready to go play. We're used to, between 300 and 400 kids a day going in and out of zone from 2:30 in the afternoon until 9:30 at night. And, having this just awesome place that kids getting dirty and sweating, and to just have it to where I went in there today and, having a facility that just the lights are out. This is going into our 5th week in a row now of, having to close the doors. So it's, we're trying really hard to stay connected with Zoom meetings every single day of the week at 4:00. We send an email out to all the Zone clients, and they can log on and go through the workouts. So we'll do a throwing and a lower body training, and then we'll do some hitting stuff inside. And so you'll see the kids throwing balls off the walls and fielding. So we're really just trying to stay with them mentally, and, trying to stay in contact with them. And different coaches take different shifts. And, so it's kind of trying to keep people busy and trying to keep the kids with baseball, and softball on their mind still, because I think that's, once kids had to start, going to school from home, it's everybody's out of the routines. The kids are out of the routines. The parents are out of the routines. All of us coaches are out of our routines. So trying to put a little bit of a routine into it, so that 4:00 every day, Monday through Friday, kind of gives them something to look forward to. And then our coaches are, trying to communicate with the players as well at a separate time. So, that's what we're really trying to do is stay connected and use as much, virtual stuff as we can.
Yeah. I mean, I think you touched on mentioning the mental side of things. I think for everybody's mental health, including the staff, like the players just, they need to know that baseball is still there and hopeful that it's going to come soon. So for you guys to touch base with them on a regular basis, I think is much needed and just great for all of them. And it gives them that, because they're out of whack, especially in the beginning, to help them have that time and that structure and that discipline to say, all right, baseball's here, not going anywhere. It's going to come back eventually, but just to keep it fresh in their mind and keep them active. Right. Because you can easily, or players can easily, especially at a young age, if they don't have the mindset and the discipline to stay active, they can easily just fall into, being a couch potato and playing video games nonstop. Definitely. So it's important that you guys stay connected with them.
Something good with that we did, Mike, that I'd love to share this with the other, organizations and coaches is when we had our first team Zoom meeting, we asked 3 questions. We asked, number 1, what are you struggling with the most as a ball player? From, maybe you can't throw. Maybe you don't have a brother or sister or a mom or dad that you can throw with. So maybe throwing's one of your biggest struggles, or, you don't have a net, or you don't have a tee. So what are you struggling with the most? What are you actually kind of enjoying about being home? Like, this is kind of a weird time for all of us, right? Where the kids aren't going from place to place and, 4 practices a day or 4 practices a week, and then, doing speed and agility classes and this and that and private lessons. And, so what are they enjoying about this time? And then what are they looking forward to the most about the upcoming season? Right. And when you go around a room, a Zoom room, with 14-year-olds, it's kind of interesting to hear some of their perspectives. And I think that's where we have to, as coaches, realize that different kids are going through different things. If somebody lost a loved one due to the coronavirus, they're way different than some of the families that don't even know anybody that even got it. So certain families are going to be much more in line with not wanting to go to practice right away, or once they do open the doors, not everybody's just going to race outside. And so depending on your relationship to the coronavirus and people that it's going to be a very interesting way to kind of get back to it. So I think us as an organization and as the baseball industry, we have to come up with standards, and we're already putting certain things into place of how we're going to almost like disinfect the facility. How are we going to run our practices now? Yep. People can say all they want, like, oh, it's once we get out, it's going to be business as usual. Not if half of your team doesn't even want to go to practice.
Right.
Then what do? Some of the parents aren't going to want their kids to go to practice yet.
Right.
So we're doing some things that, okay, you guys can stay home, and we already have a routine for you on Zoom that you're going to watch and still be with your team. Like that. We're trying to get ahead of the curve, and we're trying to think ahead of the game of if this happens, because you can't penalize a kid for his mom not letting him go to practice. What are you going to do? He can't play the next game. Like that's not realistic. So we're kind of thinking through what might happen, and we don't know what we're going to see once we're allowed to play ball. So it's going to be interesting, and I think a group effort from all of us to kind of help nurture and remold this.
It's as you said, it's a unique situation, and what we hope for as coaches when during the norm, as these we want these players to go home and actually work on the things that we practice with them on their own, because that's how they're going to get better. We can't see them every day. I think this is going to help everybody going forward in the future, just to give them extra options, or maybe just an easier way for somebody who runs large academies with multiple teams to get in touch with them a little bit more, and hold them accountable, and make it a little bit easier to stay on top of their players.
And what I think too, Mike, is that a lot of people, like some people are like, I don't really know how to Zoom. I don't know how to. Well, tough luck, right? You better learn it, because the kids are doing it every day now. They're learning. They're doing virtual learning. So the kids are on their phones all day long. They're on iPads. So us as coaches, it's not okay just to say, well, I don't know how to use the iPad.
No.
Well, okay, fine. Then the organizations that do know how to use it are good. You know what I mean? Like, well, you got to learn how to do it. If it matters enough and that much to you to be a good coach and to have a team that truly we gotta, we have time right now. We have time to learn. We have time to advance ourselves. This is just this has to be the new norm to, if you can use Team Snap, right? Some people do it pen and paper. Some people use Game Changer. Okay, well, what's easier and what's better in the long run? Some people. So I think it's just using what works, but just kind of getting out of our comfort zones as coaches to make this experience the best we can for these players.
100%. And classroom setting or classroom teaching on on the baseball front is just as important as a player going through a physical rep. So for us to add more time and being in a classroom, I think it's just only going to benefit everybody. Right. And this is going to change the way how I think organizations and people can coach. I think there's going to be a lot more to it. And like you said, you as a coach, you have to wear many hats, and everybody's in a different situation. You can't coach one player the same like another one, because when we get these kids on a normal basis at 6 p.m. after a long day of school, and they go home and they have to have a quick dinner, you don't know what their day was like. So now it's even intensified a little bit more, being at home all day with everybody in your house. And like you said, some people might be going some true personal issues, so everybody has to kind of be aware of that, and mindful of what everybody's going through on a daily basis, and how that's going to affect them when we do get the okay to get back to it.
Right. I think that one of the key things that we all have to continue to educate and discuss is, what happens when we can play, when USABL and Perfect Game and PBR and when all these organizations, say, okay, we're going to have this tournament, or we're going to have this tournament. as an organization, as a coach, as a unified group, we have to be smart enough and educate all the coaches around us enough to, okay, how many pitches am I going to allow my pitchers to throw? Now, I'm not saying that the overall body of you guys being the tournament, holder has to mandate, or maybe you do, I don't know, pitches, but I think that I like to use the old MLB pitch smart because it gives you a gauge. Yep. Is it right? Is it 100%? Well, it's not about whether it's 100%. It's to keep a guy that's 9 years old not throwing 170 pitches. That's what it's for. It's not to 23 instead of 24 or 20. No, it's to keep you from overusing stuff and to give a guidelines. So I think that that's something that there's going to be so many more injuries. I think the rosters need to be bigger. I think we need to be careful in the beginning because, to your point, kids aren't throwing like they used to. They're not throwing as much. So when you say, okay, let's play ball, a coach can expect, but some of them aren't going to know the difference. That a kid can't just throw a full game and then be fine the next day. So it's got to be something that the coaches have to adapt, not necessarily an organization like yourself as much as, okay, if there's a tournament, well, we now have to be able to do what's best for the kids and be smart about how we go about doing it, so, or we all just talk, you get some big groups together and say, hey, how are we going to do this moving forward just for this summer? Maybe it's a little bit different this summer. I don't know. Like, that's where I think you guys having talks like this is so important because you're getting big groups of people together to, hey, what do we think's, the best thing?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got to have contingency plans right now to figure out what is going to be best. Once we get the go ahead to say it's okay to be out in fields, then it's figuring out, how many teams and players are actually going to be able to do that and how long it'll take for them to, to be ready to do that. So, all that is going to be taken into account when, everything is laid out there. So, I mean,
the hardest thing I think, Mike, is that no one knows when that time is.
Well, it's the gray area.
It's
we have
easy
no
to
idea.
work backwards, right? You can always work backwards when, okay, this is going to be the date that we're allowed to. Right. Now, what are we going to do? Instead, it's like,
it's up in the air.
Everything's been changing for the last 5 weeks. We've been changing our plans and our schedule. Every single week we've been changing the schedule, thinking that, okay, if it starts here, then this. If this, then that. And it's like,
it's extremely hard to plan that way. When you have it feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. So that's why we want everybody to stay hopeful and we have to be patient and, take it as it comes to us.
Definitely.
So, I think this was all great insight. Before I let you go, I want to do a quick rapid fire round. I want you to just say whatever comes to your mind as soon as I ask. Your favorite baseball movie?
There's so much Sandlot.
Sandlot, okay, classic. What would be, if you had to pick right now, your favorite area of the game to teach? What would it be?
Fielding.
Okay, I saw those quick hands. You got quickest hands in New Jersey. What about a favorite quote or a quote that's like stuck with you forever that you always constantly share with your players?
If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. So work hard, be better tomorrow than you were today.
That's excellent. Well, we'll wrap up with this. As you know, we have a huge baseball community. They're going to be watching this. Can you give us a positive takeaway from the situation that we're all in right now?
Absolutely. The positive takeaway that I would give is, some players are worried that everybody else is passing them by because they can't do much. Okay. But at the end of the day, everyone's in the same exact situation. You need to every day mark down what you did, whether it's field throw, what did you do for your mental game, and what did you do for your physical game? If you can check those 3 boxes every single day, when the time comes that we're allowed to play ball, there's going to be a lot of boxes checked, and you're going to feel confident and you're going to feel ready to go. If you sit around and do nothing and wait for the organizations to say, let's play ball, you're going to say, wait, I'm not ready yet. So you have to make sure that you're better when you start than you were when you left. And that's what I tell all my guys. You better be better when I see you next than when I saw you last.
No excuse on the table. I love it.
Keep in and find a way. We just created a 66 drill wall ball course that we sent out. Like no matter what position, like if you have a wall on a ball, you
Yep.
can play baseball. You got to do some vision training. You have to do some mental training. There's a lot of fun things. Be creative right now. Right
Absolutely.
now's the time to just be creative and like do fun things outside.
Yeah.
You know, so be hopeful. Just be ready and just be ready to have fun and think to yourself, what am I looking forward to when we get ready to start playing again? Because if you think of that, when you think of it that way, you're always going to stay excited. If you're feeling like you're missing out on everything, when the time comes, you're not even going to be excited. So what are you looking at? What are you looking forward to this season? So
That's great. Duke, I can't thank you enough for your time. We really appreciate it. On behalf of the USABL staff, we hope everyone stays safe, they stay home, and stay hopeful that we'll be out there sooner than later.
You got it. Let's play ball.
That's it.
Thanks very much. See you, Mike.